Dunkley, silver medalist in the mass start. What an event that was. What a week it was for the Americans. She was, of course, with Lau Bailey on fantastic form. Great to see the North Americans doing so well. And Kukalova, of course, now the sprint world champion after her success down in Austria. Dorothy Vera, can she pick up her game in the closing stages of the season? She's got a good team. The Italian women were hoping, well, we were hoping they were going to spring a surprise in the relay and put France and Germany under a little bit of pressure, but it didn't really develop that way. They've got a relay out here in PyeongChang. Maybe this is the one they can save their best for, but they've got an incredibly strong team if they can all put it together. But the difference between the Italian team and the German team is Germany have 7 or 8 who are worthy of a position in a relay. The Italians have 4, so their best guns have got to be firing well. Well, there you have the conditions, -1 degree, the snow temperature hovering on melting point, and without the stick wax, there's no classic skiing as we've been watching from the Nordic World Championships, so not too much of a problem, but they'll have the highly expensive fluorocarbon waxes out for the day. As we have a look at the course, 2.5 kilometers, it's quite a nicely balanced course. One big climb out of the stadium, they drop down to the 1 kilometer point, climb back over the same hill but a different area, and then have a long flat run into the stadium. I think that's quite interesting. It's going to be fascinating to see what sort of pace they take that 500 meters. Well, here's our start list, and as we flick through all the way through to number 97, you'll see that there are some big names early on. Dalmar going 18, hot favorite after her multiple successes at the World Championships. Hauser for Austria, Dunkley for USA, just ahead of Scardino. Scardino, a very good shot indeed. Guzik going 46. Can she do something for Poland? Poland disappointed with their performances in Hogfilsen. Hasn't been a massive rest for these athletes. A couple of weeks since the World Championships finished in Austria. Kaisa Mäkäräinen, there she is, number 70. Now, we did think she was going to be in Lahti for the relay, but the women's relay kicking off fairly shortly. The start time for that 1500 local, so 1 o'clock if you're watching in the UK. So you've got time to watch this and then just grab yourself a coffee and tune in for the women's 4x5 at the Nordic World Championships. Well, it's a little bit quiet in the stadium, and I guess this is always the concern when you travel a long way from the base of biathlon, which is of course Central Europe. You know, you don't have many fans who follow it religiously week in, week out, and you don't really have a crowd that know all the personalities. So that's obviously going to be a concern for next year in the Olympic Games. There will be Europeans and Americans and Scandinavians traveling out to watch, but the numbers will not be the same as they are when the games are held locally. What did we have in Russia? We had a good turnout of Russians, to be honest, but it was predominantly Russian in Sochi. Well, there's a fabulous layout of a stadium, as you can see. That hill coming down from the left-hand side, that's one that has been drastically redesigned just to slow the speed down into the stadium area. So a quick check of the watch from Maren Hammership. She will start just 30 seconds ahead of Tatiana Akimova, who won in Novo Miesto earlier on this season, won the sprint event there, then finished second in the pursuit. Kazakhstan will be hoping that Alina Rykova can do something, never done better than 20th in a World Cup. Now is her opportunity. Just checking the 8 rounds in the barrel. Well, I may laugh, but anyone who remembers Fred Anderson will remember that that's a trick that he tried to save himself a couple of seconds at the World Championships. Actually, he did it in a number of World Cups. raced with his first magazine already in the housing. And of course, he won a World Championship event. The incident was discovered and he was disqualified. So that was a massive disappointment for him. And what did he save himself? All of a second? Not even that. So the countdown just about to start. We've got another couple of minutes before Hammerschmidt will go, assuming their timing is similar to mine. 8 hours ahead in Korea. And looks as though just going to start a fraction early. Hammerschmidt queued up, ready to go. 20th in the overall World Cup standings this year, and unlikely to play a part in the fight for the top 10. She's some way behind, 282 points. Top 10 have all got over 450. And of course, it's Lara Dalmar who leads on 903. And with the success that Dalmar's had, particularly those 3 individual gold medals at the World Championships, plus of course a silver in the sprint event, slightly surprising that she's not yet 50 points clear of Gabi Kukalova, but Kukalova's been very, very consistent. So Akimova is away, 16th in the World Championship. She missed 1 in the stand position on that occasion, and I still think with the ski speed she's got at the moment, or the ski speed we saw from her in Austria, because she's had a couple of weeks either to tune in or tune out, we'll find out soon enough. I still think she needs a clear shoot to challenge, and generally the women's sprint race is won with the perfect shoot unless the conditions are bad and most of the favourites are missing. Rykova, good strong start from the Kazakh, and she'll be followed out of the start gate by Yulia Zhima, the 26-year-old from Kiev in Ukraine. And so the climbing starts pretty much as soon as they exit the stadium. Remember, climb up to around 600, 700, drop down to the kilometre mark, then they start climbing again, and the second descent finishes at 2,000 metres, and then they've got 500 metres of flat coming into the finish. Now, we'll get splits fairly early on. I'll get a split at 1.6 kilometres as well. We'll take more notice of that than we will of the one at 700 metres. Never easy going first. The pacing, although some people think it's hard, 500 metres of flat coming into the finish. Now, we'll get splits fairly early on. I'll get a split at 1.6 kilometres as well. We'll take more notice of that than we will of the one at 700 metres. Never easy going first. The pacing, although some people think it's harder, in many ways it should be easier, because you're not tempted to chase someone in front, you're not tempted to try and stay ahead of the person behind. It may be harder to push yourself when you start number 1, but you have the perfect opportunity to race your own race and get an optimal time. Just looking at the glide on the because with the snow at 0 degrees, we've only got to go down to what? If we go down to -1, -2, it's going to start to firm up. The glazed bits will get icier, and we're going to see some very, very quick downhill sections. Akimova just off. You're thinking, where's Mike Dixon? He's still in Finland, covering the remainder of the Nordic World Championships. Women's relay today, men's relay must be tomorrow, and then they've only got the 30 and the 50 remaining. And finally getting a gold medal in the men's 15-kilometre yesterday. And Niskanen, the man who did it, he was saved specifically for that event. Well, when it looks slow at World Cup, you know it's steep. And Zhima not exactly dancing away up this climb, but it's a long, long climb. The stadium at something like 950 meters. The high point, 950, I've got it the other way, wrong way around. 790 is the high point, 750 is the low point of the course. So we've only got a 40-meter differential, but you only have to go up a 40-metre climb 2 or 3 times before the legs start to know about it. And the stadium itself at 756, so we're almost 850 metres lower than the course in Antolz, which is the one that we generally associate with altitude. Well, there you can see the glazing on the tracks. At midday, the temperature considerably warmer, so there's been a lot of moisture in the snow. Well, already Hammerschmidt getting splits, and she's getting splits from back at the 700-metre point, and that's just about all you can do with your athlete if they start first. Magdalena Gujdon, 37 now, and bags of experience, let's put it that way. Is she slowing down? Yes, she is, but still good enough to finish top 10 if she shoots the perfect score. Lena Heike for Switzerland teams up with the 3 Gasparin sisters in the Swiss relay team. Switzerland suffering really because Selina Gasparin has not come back from starting her family with quite as much panache as the likes of Björgen and, of course, Marie Duranabert. And Daria Domracheva seems to be on the up. Silver medal from the World Championships, not bad. What was it? Gave birth in October and won herself a medal in February. Well, you might have picked up on a little bit of a cheer there for Anna Frelina, and I wonder why that is, because she races for Korea. Comes from Tyumen, actually, in Russia, the venue that was hoping to host a World Cup at the end of this season, and is still hoping to hold the World Championships in 2021. We'll wait and see what happens there. The World Cup has been moved to Kontiolahti, and that's where we go after the races here in PyeongChang, and then the final for the season taking place in Oslo this year. Only 3 days of racing in Oslo. I suspect that the men's tour will be already wrapped up by that stage. I think Martin Fourcade better take an extra bag with him because he's going to be bringing back a few crystal globes from Oslo. Lara Dalmat, if things go well here, could be in the same position. Now that looked like a 6 to 8 millimetre shift by Maren Hammerschmidt. And that goes down as a messy shoot. 3.6 in between rounds 4 and 5. Keep an eye on those new graphics, certainly interesting. The one figure gives you the time from taking the position on the mat to the first shot being fired, so essentially the amount of time you've taken to prepare, and then the figure that changes on the right-hand side, the time in between each round. And you really want that to be consistent, which is what Akimova has failed to achieve, and the gap between 2 and 3, the longest of the lot, and that's the one she missed. Hammerschmidt the fastest into the range so far. Well, you're not going to go far without the poles. I would probably still finish in the top 10, but she'll want the pole. Always a debate about how much of the work comes out of the arms. I guess it depends how strong you are. It's going to differ with all the athletes. Where it will differ is the steepness of the terrain. And when it's very steep, I would suspect a higher percentage of work coming out of the arm, certainly in the initial phase. Now, Lara Dalmat, triple world champion from the individual events, and of course picking up a total of 5 gold medals in Hogfilsen. Unbelievable performances from her. She was rock solid in the relays, absolutely superb in the individual events, and even when she found herself in a tricky situation, she managed to find a way out. Just relied on her confidence, really. It was, she never ever looked as though she thought she was going to lose a race. There was never any panic, just kept going, kept putting the targets down, and crucially nailed all those the final targets every time she came in for that last stand shoot. Now, Nikolaisen, the first of the Norwegian starters today, starting number 5. Shot 0-0 in Novo Miesto, hasn't achieved it here. 5 seconds or so over average for the initial preparation at 18.2. Stiernekov, not the perfect start for him. Now, what about Teo Grigorin? Missed 2 in the prone in the World Championships. Well, that's an absolute disaster for Grigorin, and now one of the problems that might produce is that she's every chance of not qualifying for the pursuit. And who knows, maybe she won't even get in the Slovenian relay team with that sort of a performance. I think she will, but not the way to boost your confidence. I know it's a long way away, but she'll have decided she doesn't like this range in PyeongChang, and that's not the sort of attitude that she wants to return to Europe for the rest of the season with. Now, Dalmar just 2.6 outside. Solid start from her. Only 700 meters completed. We'll get another split just before they come into the range, and one at 1.6. Looking strong, Dalmar. Maren Hammerschmidt a lap behind. No one through the second shoot as yet. Magdalena Guisdorn coming in for her first in the prone position. 2 wins in her career. Last one 2013, I think it was, and that was at the pre-Olympics in Sochi. Well, that's one of the best shoots we've seen from her for a while, so maybe it's something about the pre-Olympic World Cup that fires up Magdalena Guisdorn. Great shooting from her. She goes clear, and at 37, is she keeping pace with the youngsters? Gorekova on 7:25. I think she's going to be, well, 1 or 2 seconds either side of that, just outside. 1.4 the margin. Great start from the pole. Priacoat. This is Anna Frelina for Korea. Now she should get a good cheer. Well, it's not quite like Goberhoff, is it? Well, I really thought they would be supporting their own, although Frelina, of course, as I mentioned, from Russia. Tumen, incidentally, what is it, east of Ekaterinburg, as we watch Hildebrand miss 1. So shooting standard is not up to scratch. Top 5 have gone clear. Bendika also of Latvia going clear. Hammerschmidt missing 2. We've got Grigorin of Slovenia, who's missed 3. Nikolaisen of Norway missed 1, as did Akimova. And the door is opening for some of the lesser-known names to come through and produce a decent run. Avakamova. Well, Avakamova, like Anna Frelina, Switching from Russia to Korea. I don't know whether there's a fee involved, but I guess the Koreans deciding that was the only way they were going to get medals in biathlon. They did it in Sochi with the short course speed skater. The name escapes me, but didn't he win 3 medals for Russia in Vancouver, and then did the same in Sochi for Korea. Good strong start from Tiril Eckhoff. Skiing's never really been a problem for her as we watch Lara Dahlmeier, the multiple world champion, on her way into shoot number 1. Now, what do you think in terms of pace? Just looking a little uneasy in terms of balance. Brakes to the right, under the track, and just getting herself prepared. There'll be a couple of glances to her left just to check on the wind conditions. There's a little bit of a breeze blowing from left to right, obviously enough to give some pretty competent biathletes a few problems. Now, Gorekova still leading on 7:25. The top 6 have gone clear, and Dahlmeier's entry into the range 4 seconds quicker than Maren Hammerschmidt. She's 18 seconds up on the current leader, Gorekova. She's had a first, a second, a third, and 2 fourths in the 5 sprints. She's opened or entered from left to right, obviously enough to give some pretty competent biathletes a few problems. Now, Gorekova's still leading on 7:25. The top 6 have gone clear, and Dahlmeier's entry into the range 4 seconds quicker than Maren Hammerschmidt. She's 18 seconds up on the current leader, Gorekova. She's had a first, a second, a third, and 2 fourths in the 5 sprints. She's opened or entered this year, and with a clear shot, she's going into a clear lead. Good start from Lara Dahlmeier. That's mission accomplished. Always when there's a decision about which group you go in, when it's marginal, Dahlmeier likes to go early because she knows that that puts pressure on the big names starting later if she manages to clear the targets, and the chances are that that's exactly what she's going to do. So she doesn't seem to have lost any of that form from the World Championships. Her speed into the range is good, but we'll have to wait until Daria Domracheva comes in for her first shoot to get a really good idea of just how fast Dahlmeier's going. And guess what? Dahlmeier-Domracheva can team up for lap number 2. That will be an interesting little battle, and one which could, I think, if either of them is going to be put off by that, it will be Domracheva, who may well ski just that little bit harder than you suspect. But Domracheva, fresh legs, should be a little bit quicker than Dahlmeier over the first climb, which will take her up to something like 650, 700 meters. Jima 0-0. And Hammerschmidt's time of 16:40 is going to be well beaten. Long way along the back of the range, something like 25 seconds from her firing point to the time, but she's recognized the style of Tiril Eckhoff. Very accurate with the pole plant, particularly that right-hand side. Her lead arm is the left side. Just if we get to see her again, just look how close she plants the left pole to the ski. But generally, the right basket nice and tight to the body as well, which gives you a more direct line of push. Guess you can all work it out with vectors as to the most effective place, but generally the pole wants to be driving in the direction of travel. Now, Gorekova. Good fast shooting, 2.5, and that last margin just that little bit quicker, maybe rushed a fraction. So a fast shoot, but sadly for Gorekova, one shot going wide. Hasn't shot clear this season. This would have been a good place to do it. And Naispe Scott just 12.4 off the leaders. And is she the best of the French? She is by some margin in second place at the moment. And the reason she's the best of the French is because she's the only one who's been through that first shoot. So we'll try and track the rest. Durana Bear starting a little later on. It's gone for Group 3. 67 Durana Bear starts. Now, Guisdon clearing the prone. 15.22, achievable, but she needs to be quick. Still has some way to ski, so I don't think she'll match the 15.22. That's great shooting. Fantastic stuff from Magdalena. Real boost for her. Well, that's fantastic. If she was in any doubt as to whether her career would continue to next season, I think this shoot alone, going 0-0 at the pre-Olympics, may be just the boost she needs. 15.22, what are we going to be? 15 seconds or so? Not quite that margin. 13.9 outside for Guisdon, and this could well be her best race of the season. Of course, a lot will depend on what the rest do later on. She was 38th in the World Championships, missed 2 in the standing position. Now, Tyrrell Eckhoff. Poor season. The former sprint world champion. Lost her title to Kukalova in Austria. Well, that's better. That is much better. 18 seconds spent on preparation. Quite a long time, but worthwhile. With her ski speed, she can afford to do that. And Dalmar on 7.05 is under threat for the first time. And I think we're going to see Eckhoff going into the lead. Well, the pressure of the World Championships is off, and suddenly Tyrrell Eckhoff is producing her race of the season. Well, that's a great run from her. She was 19th in the sprint in Ruhpolding, 14th in Novo Miesto, 20th in Pachuca. Did get a top 10 in Östersund, the first sprint race of the season. 13 is Hildebrand, as I'm sure you recognise. Again, just 80% hit rate in the prone, which is one too few. 89-83 her season records. Now, Dalmar coming in for shoot number 2. If all 5 targets go down, then the pressure really does build on Kukalova and Makarainen, who are the 2 women chasing her in the Sprint World Cup standings. Now, just a reminder, and with the absence of Mr. Dixon, I have 2 lots of paper everywhere, and everything taking just that little bit longer to find. Now, just go through the points. Kukalova, with 1 race taken away, is on 250. Makarainen 251. Dalmar on 248. So only 3 points separating the top 3. A little bit of a delay. 3.8 generally comes in at 2.6, 2.7. And a delay again for the final shot, but all 5 down. That is what counts. And Lara Dalmar likely to finish top 3 yet again. You just can't keep her off the podium. Daria Domracheva on her first shoot, looking for her time coming into the shoot. She's 9.6 off the pace of the race leader, which is Tyrrell Eckhoff. And that's a good performance. Dalmar's going to be well inside. What she got, a margin of 47 seconds. Incredible stuff. So Dalmar keeps the form going that we saw from her at the World Championships. Daria Domracheva keeps improving every single race. She's looking better and better. 11.8 outside. Oh, just looking a little sluggish round the corner. Balance perhaps not exactly what it was before. And Yulia Zhima of Ukraine, early starter, and comes across the line just a little bit after Maren Hammerschmidt. 21.44, a new lead time here with a clear shoot. Now, what's Susan Dunkley's season going to do after that massive success of a silver medal. Now that's pretty handy from Susan Dunkley. Time-wise into the first shoot, just slightly slower than we would have expected. She was 13.4 behind coming into the range, so I expect the margin to be fractionally less than that. 11.2 for the American. Eckhoff still leading, Dunkley 3. Now Scardino, what do you notice about her sights? She's shooting right-handed, but left-eyed. This is a unique system. I think she had was it a virus in that right eye, or a scratch, a scar on the cornea? I'll try and check out exactly why she had to do it. But she's still as good as she used to be. 5 out of 5, down they go. And Scardino, promising start from her. Anything within 20-25 seconds is good. She's 25.2 behind, and with Daria Domracheva up there as well, things looking up for the Belarus relay team. And relays at the end of the week's racing here in PyeongChang. Sprints, pursuits, relays, and then after this round of the World Cup, we're down to what, 5 individual races remaining. Oslo, the World Cup finals, as we see Dalmar going through, another 0.8 of a second taken out of Hildebrand in the last 700 meters. And Daria Domracheva feeding off the speed of Laura Dalmar. A lot of people missing shot number 3 today. Not sure what that's about. Usually it's 1 and 5. 24, Anaïs Bescon powering her way out of the range. We go back to Magdalena Gujdon, who will be hoping for one of her best results of the season. She certainly achieved that in terms of shooting, a 0-0 here in PyeongChang. Gujdon starting number 10, obviously. 38th in the World Championship sprint. She's going to be much, much higher up the field. She's had a top 10 in Ruhpolding shooting 0-0. And I think she might even improve on that performance here today. So great run from the 37-year-old Pole. Comes from Leliki. Standing shoot, generally the one letting her down throughout the season. 80% hit rate, but today all 5 going down. So back to Dalmar. That's Irina Kriuku. And you see the difference between the two athletes there. Kriuku all over the shot. Dalmar so stable from the hips to the shoulders. It's as if that section of the body is just a box moving along, and the legs and the arms that are doing the work. But it just shows how much core strength she's got. As we watch Hildebrand coming into the finish, one miss on that prone will have certainly sunk her hopes of a victory. She goes second for now. So Ukraine, Germany and Poland, the leading 3. Now, Tyrrell Eckhoff, big moment for her. This could turn her season around, a little bit late in the day, but if she hits 5, which is what she did at the World Championships, not this year, but last year. This looks more confident. I think we might see a smile. No, very, very serious about her performance. Stian Eckhoff straight on the radio to let the rest of the team know that Tyrrell Eckhoff has nailed every single one of the targets. Dalmar's done the same, and if there's one athlete out there that can chase Dalmar in terms of ski speed, it is Tyrrell Eckhoff. She's going to have a second or so to make up. Now we're going to see what she's made of. 2.9 the margin. She needs some Norwegian supporters out there. Well, there are no supporters. She needs the teammates out there. Dalmar starting to pull clear. Well, what's the time? She certainly has the lead. Remember, she came out, what, 45 or so ahead, 101, so really good gains over that last kilometre. A lot of that is downhill, so the last kilometre you have 500 metres of downhill, 500 metres of flat. So Delmar gaining fantastic ground on that last section, and she'll have to thank the technicians if she gets the win today. Best in the world, gets the best equipment, certainly gets the most pair of skis in the off-season to trial. Tiril Eckhoff, what a chase she's got on her hands. Her last win, of course, at the World Championships in Oslo. Now, Gabi Kukalova, a late starter, choosing group number 3. Starting 61, just behind Susan Hoffmann of Austria. She's got Justine Brezard, who started a minute and a half ahead. But I don't think she's going to get anyone who can really pace her on this one. So, Daria Domracheva. After a long break, 2 weaknesses. One, the final stage of the race, stamina, obviously, and the other, the standing shoot. One of very few who goes for that centre target first. Now she switched to the right. Not good. Not good, that's a real shame. 14:49. Lara Dalmar exiting the range in 14:34, so she wasn't going to match that by any means, but Tiril Eckhoff was close. 17:03 the time she was after. It was a 2.9 margin last time we saw. It's grown to 4.4, so Dalmar looking as if she is going to notch up yet another victory, but far too early to say that, with Kukalova starting 61, Durana Bear starting 67, Vera starting 74. But what we can say is that if you don't hit 10, you're not going to win. And Dunkley knows with that miss, the victory is not coming her way. A victory for Susan Dunkley, long overdue. Delighted to have her in the commentary box in Hogfilson. Very humble, very modest, and basically put her success down to a lot of hard work and nothing more than that. Now Kukalova, early stages in her race, wearing the red bib, so leading the sprint standings. She's got a decent margin at the moment over Dalmar, but she needs to be on the podium to keep the pressure on. 8.8 behind already for Kukalova, and that's unusual. Are the conditions getting slower? I'm not convinced they are, to be honest. But maybe that's just Kukalova pacing the early stage of the race. I would be slightly concerned in the Czech team. Andre Rybar will be wondering exactly what's going on. Well, you can see how glazed the tracks are. And you can see how little confidence she has pushing off one of the skis. Let's have a look as she goes around to the right. Yeah, doesn't want to spend any time on that left ski whatsoever. And if you're not prepared to do that, you're not going to generate any power round the corner. Now, Marie Durana Bear, again, a late start. Just looks as though everyone's skis are running that little bit slow. I'm not quite sure what's going on. It'll be interesting to talk to them after the race, get some sort of feedback. Tiril Eckhoff 4.4 to 10.1. It's going the wrong way for the Norwegian, and now she's got to be concerned about defending second place. I think we're going to see Tiril Eckhoff on the podium with this performance today, which is a great improvement. And I just wonder what she's been doing since those World Championships. She had, what, a 13th, a 30th, a 39. She was 12th in the mass start. Better shooting in the mass start. She had 2 clear shoots and 1, well, in fact, she missed on 2 occasions as well. But 12th is respectable. But she went to Hogfilson looking for medals, and she came away with none. Norway, 8th in the mixed relay. That perhaps was her best chance. Very little World Cup action for Denise Herrmann, racing on the IBU Cup. She's been good in the Prone all season, so she'll be disappointed to miss that fourth shot. Standing has been her undoing, as it has been for Miriam Gusner over the last 3 or 4 seasons. Now, what's the margin going to be? It was 10 seconds. Eckhoff still got a way to go. I think she's picked up over the closing stages, but not enough to challenge Dalmar. Gets it down to 8. Good finish from Tyrrell Eckhoff, but really needed a bit more burst. It was the 2 climbs, one out of the stadium, 2 at the 1 kilometre stage. That's where she lost her time. Pushed hard on the descent into the finish. Now, Selena Gasparin. Well, this is better. This is better. Take away that miss, and she still would have been, what, 30 seconds behind? And 30 seconds in a sprint at this level can certainly mean 15 places, maybe even more. Just looking at the World Championship result from 2009, 30 seconds, the top 3. Zaitseva was 27 behind Wilhelm and still managed to claim the bronze medal. So Gasparin with the penalty loop, we can turn that 30 into a 55. What do you think? A little bit more. Slow on the loop. It's going to be much, much closer to the full minute. 1 minute exactly for Selena Gasparin. Six athletes shot clear back in 2009. All those on the podium with a perfect shooting score. And Gabi Kukalova has been around long enough, and she'll know that her ski form is not good enough for her to be able to miss. Kukalova 11 seconds off the pace, coming around the corner into the firing point. Dalmar's shoot was quick and accurate. Well, this could be the red bib disappearing right now. And if that happens, Dalmar likely to take all the globes, the sprint, the pursuit, the mass start, the individual. German relay team should be able to claim that gold as well. Nations Cup score looks as though it's going to Germany. Quite a good fight with the French, to be honest. Germany on 5.993 and France on 5.740. And after today, we've only got another 5 events to count. So out comes Kukalova, and we get to see exactly how important that missed shot is. Pushes her to 41 behind, and she came into the range 11 seconds down, so she's lost another 30 seconds. Now Hilda Fenn and Marta Olsbu also starting late for Norway. Marta Olsbu starting 30 seconds behind. We should see a similar suit in the start gate. There you go. Gasparin goes 79. Megan Tandy of Canada goes 80. Lisa Vitozzi of Italy. What a revelation she was. Here's Kaisa Mäkäräinen. Now, has she made the right decision coming out to PyeongChang, or should she be in Lahti enjoying the party there? And after Finland's gold medal, their first gold medal of the championships yesterday, there'll be a good occasion. Now, look at this. Mäkäräinen is flying. Well, I think the cross-country skiers would wish she was there, because on this sort of form, Mäkäräinen would have been very, very handy in the women's relay. But she's not got time to get back. It starts in just over an hour's time. Roll on time travel. Fialkova with 9 out of 10. It's a good record over the season, but we've seen more and more this season. You need to be perfect, and when Dalmar goes clear, if you want to win, you've got to produce the ski of your life and shoot the perfect score. Dunkley with 1 miss, and I'll try and update you on her position. Don't quite know why that didn't come up. She's in third at the moment. So Dalmar, Eckhoff, Dunkley, the top three. Gima in 4, Hildebrand in 5 as Anaïs Chevalier. Well, that's a great shoot from her. And she's been skiing pretty well this season. She's not quick enough to win it, but Gima on 15.22 is certainly moving down a slot. And Dunkley on 15.24 is going down into 5th position. Zorana Bear, can she keep the good French shooting? She does. Ely, the sponsor, or the ammunition sponsor for the French team, will be delighted with that. I think they will have been a little bit concerned that the French women weren't quite up to their normal high standards in Austria. Martin Fourcade, of course, was right up there, the dominant force in the men's tour throughout the season and at the World Championships. Trying to keep an eye on the ski speeds. Zorana Bear has gone out in 3rd position. She's 8 seconds down on Eckhoff's time, but she's only, what, just under 6 seconds down on Dalmar's time. I'm not convinced that the conditions have got any quicker. Kaisa Mäkäräinen is skiing exceptionally well, though, and I'll just try and get you an update on her position. She's fastest into the range, and Mäkäräinen an advantage of 4.8 over Laura Dalmar. Dalmar averaging under 3 for the margin, the time in between each shot. That's a nice start for Kaisa Mäkäräinen, and already I think those who helped to make the decision to travel will feel that their decision was justified, because she's in the race. She's very much in with a chance of taking a win. She's got a lead of 0.1, but that's over Eckhoff, and she's got a slim margin over Dalmar as well. Monica Hernisch coming down the home straight, and don't often see her push this hard into the finish. The reason why, because she's got the perfect score and she knows that a top 15 is on the cards. 120 off the race leaders. That's a good run from Hernisch. She missed 2 in the World Championships, just got herself a top 40, so she picks up some World Cup points, but only 2 of them. Now, Denise Herrmann. She could do with a couple of good performances here to boost her chances of staying on the World Cup tour through to the end of the season. Have a look at the end of the barrel. Yeah, just a little bit of movement to the barrel and then backing off. That's better. Settling into it. Again, lots of movement, and finally pays the price with a margin of 5.6 seconds. So time given away, a penalty given away, and Herrmann's chances of a top 10 have gone. Raced well early season in the IBU Cups. This really has the atmosphere of an IBU Cup as opposed to a pre-Olympic World Cup. Vera 18 seconds down, coming in, starting to tire. It's a long, long season. 26 individual races, plus the relays, plus the selection races. Well, nice to see Selena Gasparin shooting a little bit better, a 90% hit rate for her today. And skiing okay. Now, just have a look at that performance. She's slower than both Hildebrand and Beschon, who also missed 1 target. But she's taken out time out of Scardino, she's taken time out of Gorekova, who had the same shooting score as well. Hilda Fenn has lost, well, at least 15 seconds to 79. I was looking at the wrong number. It was, of course, one of the Gasparins, Elisa Gasparin, as opposed to Selena and Aita, who are also out on the tracks. Selena just finishing her run, actually. Keen to improve. What have they got? They've got Bishkor still sitting in 6th place. It's Germany's Lara Dauma, surprise, surprise, who's leading the way. Kaisa Makarainen, I think, the only one who can challenge her. And we'll try and get an update on Makarainen's performance before she comes in for shoot number 2. Going through 4.1 kilometres, Makarainen has the lead. And she's yet to go through the 4.9 stage, which is where we get another split time just before that second and final shoot. Chevalier, good shooting from her, 10 out of 10, and 41 seconds down, just denies Susan Dunkley. But outskied by Tirolekov and Zima. In fact, she outskied Zima on that last lap. Couldn't match Dunkley of America, but started with a sufficient lead to stay ahead of her. 4 out of 5 for Anna Magnusson. Again, a shame to miss the last one, but it's a better performance from Magnusson, and that's all you can ask. Durana Bear, big moment. 14:34. She can't match that. 3rd position coming in. Has to go clear to stay in the top 3. A long time for that first shot. 3.5s, 4.1, 4.8. Time given away, but at least all the targets are down for Marie Durand Hebert. And now, what is she going to have to chase? Chevalier on 14:59. I think really she's fighting for a top 3. Chevalier will be devastated if she's pushed off the podium by her teammate, but it does look as though that is what's going to happen. The margin 19.6, but between the two French women, just 5 seconds, the advantage going to Durand Hebert. Still a little bit of breeze blowing from left to right. To be honest, it's picked up. Slightly protected over on the far side, lanes 28, 29, 30. Where will Makarainen go? Standing shoot from lanes 16 through to 30. She's gone for the middle. Probably advisable. She looks pretty calm. Worst possible way to start. Now she's racing for a top 10, now a top 20. Oh, well, that's very, very disappointing for Makarainen and the rest of the Finnish team. Shot pretty well at the World Championships, and most of the mistakes she made were in the prone position, but she's only got a 78% hit rate in the stand position this year. So I guess we should have expected one miss at least. Now she's got an extra 300 meters to ski. And Makarainen, incidentally, behind Dauma coming into the second shoot. So that initial speed, I think, costing her. Penance paid, and Mäkräinen back on the course. Instead of being 5 seconds adrift of the leader's time, she's 55 seconds down, just over 26 seconds for each of those laps. And Mäkräinen won't be able to do too much about the top 3 positions, but if she can keep the margin at 50 seconds, she's looking to challenge Susan Dunkley, who's 59 behind at the finish. So a good race between the Finn and the American. Justine Brezard, good skiing. Sadly, the shooting letting her down a day, but she's going to be a huge name in the future. She's only 20. And really this season is all about learning to compete at the highest level. Célia Monnier starting 94. France now have Bescon in 7th, Brezard in 8th. Germany with Dalmar leading, as you know, Hildebrand in 6. And we've got Denise Herrmann still down in 17 despite missing 2 targets. That could change. Now, what's going to happen to Dorothee Vera? Again, she needs 5. Generally shoots very fast. Have a look at the interval between the shots. First, usually at, I was going to say 14. She's 11.5. This is great. The Simonada of women's biathlon. Dorothee Vera, fantastic standing shoot to wrap up her day, but she's not skiing as fast as she can, and she missed one in the prone, so it's not going to be an optimal performance from her, but Vera could stay in the top 10. In terms of World Cup rankings, she's number 5, and what is she? She's a long, long way, 150 points or so behind Marie Durand-Hebert. So defending 5th rather than chasing 4 at this stage of the season. Bråsen joins the list of those who've shot the perfect score, and we've got quite a few. The top 11 coming out of the range after the second shoot have all gone clear. Hauser's shot perfect but not skiing as well. Hernisch, Bråsen also shooting 10. Scardino, Zima, Kostanova all shooting well. Now Kukalova with 2 misses, 1 prone, 1 stand, 143. She's off the boil. She is off the boil, and this could signal the end of her challenge for the overall World Cup. Only 46 points behind at the start of today. She could be 80 behind come the end. Well, what a contrast between the noise that we had in Hogfilsen. Fantastic crowds down there. Generally, minimum 30,000 turning up for the races. The stadium only taking, just started, I've forgotten what it was. I think it was 10,500 going in the stadium itself, but many, many more fans out on the tracks. It was a busy time, noisy one as well. Osbu, top right-hand corner. Shooting, oh, that last shot denying her the chance of a top position today. And Monnier with 1 miss in the prone, won't challenge her teammate Durand-Hebert. Durand-Hebert in 3rd place after the second shoot. As we have a look at the standings at the finish, Dalmar, Eckhoff, Chevalier, Durand-Hebert obviously to get through to that stage. She's trying to push Susan Dunkley down into 5, and Zima, I think, highly likely to go down into 6. Mäkräinen was in 2nd place after the first shoot, and still in 2nd place, pretty much level with Dalmar coming into the 2nd shoot, but now finds herself 53 behind. In terms of speed relative to Dalmar, well, actually, she's taken 2 seconds off Dalmar on this last lap. For fans of Daria Domracheva, just trying to find out exactly where she is. Was going okay in the early stages, 7th after shoot number 1. She missed 2 at least on the second shoot, and she's down in 29th after the second shoot. Megan Tandy, 9 out of 10. Good shooting from her. Tandy, another of the Canadians that comes out of British Columbia, lives in Prince George. Puskachikova, can she finish as the top Czech for the day? Kukalova down in 17th place at the finish, and Puskachikova is going to be considerably higher than that. She goes into 13 for now, 1:28, and don't forget that today's result determines the start of the pursuit, so double damage done to Kukalova's chances, and she's now been pushed down into 18th position. Kaisa Mäkäräinen, 2 misses from her, lying 3rd in the World Cup standings. It's all looking very, very good for Laura Dahlmeier of Germany, who's going to pick up another 60 points today. I can't see anyone who's going to touch her time. The latest starter to make an impression early on was Mäkäräinen, going through that first shoot in 2nd place. She's faded, as you saw, with those 2 misses in the stand. So no one's going to beat Dahlmeier's current lead time, 20:43. She adds to the success that she had at the World Championships. 5 gold there, and she gets the World Cup back underway with a win. Hubert, some 9 seconds slower than Dorothy Vera to get the first shot away, and she's losing 2 seconds a shot, so that's another 10 thrown away. 20 seconds or so lost in the range. Well, there you hear from Stian Eckhoff. He was impressed, realised that the wind was a factor. Pisareva fast, but a little bit wayward with shots 2 and 3. Business as usual for Laura Dahlmeier. Now, one of the factors that came out from the World Championships, both Dahlmeier and Fourcade commenting on it, was when you have multiple successes, you get 3 hours a day less than the rest of the athletes to recover. You've got so many press duties, you've got medal ceremonies to go to, you've got all sorts of functions that you're expected to appear at. It's okay if you only win 1 medal, but if you're doing it day after day, as she, and you end up with something like 15, 16 hours less rest over the week, which is why it's such a phenomenal achievement to keep on winning golds. Dorothy Vera just cruising across the line. As you've seen, she's gone into 12th position with just 1 miss. So she's been out-skied. Actually, one of the most impressive ski performances from Justine Brézard of France, missing 2, and she's still in the top 10. Mäkäräinen, though, the fastest of those to have missed targets, and she's in 4th position, having pushed Susan Dunkley down into 5.
Záber, teraz to zrýchli, hop. Hop.
Sehr gute Taktik, danke, danke schön.
Well, not the first faller we've seen here in PyeongChang, but far fewer fallers than we saw in the World Championships back in 2009. Just trying to pick up on which of the athletes that was. Thought it looked like a Ukrainian vest, but I can't see any Ukrainians who should still be out there. Unless it was Olga Abramova, who started number 95. Now, Celia Monnier. The French with Bescon missing one. Brizard missing two. Monnier joining her. Have a look at the trigger finger. Very gentle pressure. You can hardly see the finger moving at all, which is great technique from Monnier, but she's still going to miss two shots. And now chasing the time would have been pretty good. She would certainly have been top 10 with all five stand going down, but she's got another 50 seconds at least on the penalty loop. So she goes on at 15:37. I think we're likely to see her coming off at 16:27, 16:30. Lisa Vitozzi with a good, strong finish. What a shame about those two targets on the prone shoot. Otherwise, this would have been impressive. Let's take 50 seconds off that. Let's say she was just a minute off the pace of the leaders. And if that was the case, Vitozzi would have slotted into 6th position, just behind Susan Dunkley. Now, we didn't see her prone shoot, so no idea what the wind conditions were like when she came through. You can see the flags in the background on the left of your screen. There is a fair amount of movement out there. Just fancy her chances of moving up 2 places. She's got to hope that Dalmar misses for that to be achievable. And running Huber for Norway. We saw her miss that one shot in the stand, and still missing out on a top 40, likely to be moved out of the top 50, so slightly surprised to see that. And Monnier, last of the big names to start, and to be honest, the least impressive of the French performances today. 2 misses in the stand, total of 3 penalty loops. Many of you will know, most of you will know, that's 450 metres. Not for each one, 150 for each loop. Well, it's going to be interesting to see what the athletes feel. It's great to get to know the Olympic tracks, but after the atmosphere that, to be honest, they've had ever since we went to Nowe Miasto. Östersund at the beginning of the season, a little bit subdued. We never get a huge crowd in PyeongChang, although it's a good turnout, but not brilliant. But Oberhof, Ruhpolding, Antolz, it just got better and better, and having kick-started with Nowe Miasto, of course, which I still think was the best atmosphere that we've had so far this year, particularly on the final day when Kukalova came through to win the mass start in front of her home fans. She made a name for herself there. She then went and made herself massive by winning the sprint at the World Championships in Hofilsen. It has not been Kukalova's day, and although some will say I'm being a little bit early in writing her off, I cannot see her catching Laura Dahlmeier now, because today's result will also reflect in tomorrow's, because Kukalova is going to start 1 minute 43 seconds behind her main rival in the overall World Cup. And Dahlmeier highly likely to pick up 50+ points. Kukalova is going to be struggling to pick up or to get into the double figures, to be honest, so there could be a margin of 100 points come the end of Saturday. Mitarai, 2:41 behind. Here comes Tanaka for Japan. The standing shoot was very impressive. The prone, not so. 2 misses, 300 extra meters, and even without that, she would have been just under 3 minutes behind the race leaders. Nice tempo from Monnier. Have a look at the angle between the lower leg and the ski. She skis with quite a straight angle. Some coaches liking to see more ankle flexion, some not. I think it's horses for courses. We're all different. Different flexibility, different strengths. If I was to pinpoint one factor that is absolutely crucial, and where you have to be top class, it's the ability to stand on one ski and be completely relaxed at the same time. That takes years and years of practice. 2:58 behind for Mironova at 23:42, and still Dahlmeier's leading time 20:43. It's looking more impressive as this race goes on, and certainly as it draws to a close. Celia Monet started 94, only 3 athletes starting behind her. We had Abramova, we had Slof of Sweden, formerly from the Netherlands, and Grete Geim of Estonia was the last athlete away. We've not seen any of those 3. I'll try and track down their performances. They should all have gone through 6.6 kilometers, 36th place for a Monnier, guaranteed at least 2 World Cup points. I think she might well stick on where she is. Yislava for the Czech Republic, 61st position with only 2 misses. Just trying to track down Slof of Sweden. Monnier, so she's lost a lot of time with those 3 misses, and outside the top 70, she will not get a start in the pursuit in 2 days' time. So limited experience of the Olympic tracks. That will be